Hey, what's up? It is Rob Payon from Proof of Talent. And today I figured I'd go through a little bit of a wrap up of what I'm seeing right now within the crypto market from a hiring and employment landscape through the lens of which we operate in at Proof of Talent. So, kicking things off, Q3 was maybe surprisingly the best quarter we've had in company history. And it's surprising for a couple of reasons. Number one, this was the best quarter we've had since 2021. So this is not something where we've had, a sick 2022 and have been crushing out on all cylinders into 2023. The business that we operate in, frankly, is a little bit cyclical in nature due to where we are within the crypto industry and how things are flowing within the space. And so the crypto markets in general and employment within the crypto space has been down since the peak of the bull market in crypto in 2021. Now, we are not anywhere near the peak at which we've been operating at recently. So this might come as a little bit of a surprise that we've had, frankly, such a good quarter in terms of the number of placements that we've done, but also the number of revenue that we were able to achieve as well. And so I think there's a couple different reasons for this, and I'll talk about that. And I think they might dovetail nicely into the rest of what I'm going to say as well. But within the crypto space right now, while it is in mainstream media and a lot of the things that you'll see, it's very much doom and gloom and the world is ending. And the only thing you're going to see about crypto right now for the time being is the Sam Bankman-Fried trial, which frankly I don't care about at all. But there are still companies that are building and operating and growing in this space. And while there are certainly not the same number of companies that are hiring as there were a year or 2 years ago, or even 3 years ago, maybe, there are companies that are still hiring, and those companies that are opportunistically and strategically growing, they are pulling the trigger, adding new talent to the mix. And we have been fortunate enough to been able to work with a number of those companies throughout this process, throughout Q3 and hopefully into the rest of the year and beyond. And so kind of going off that point, when we're thinking about this space right now, again, the companies that are hiring right now, and there are not as many companies by any means that are hiring right now as there were a year, 2, 3 years ago. The market has certainly peaked, at least previously in 2021 and early 22 in terms of hiring. But those companies, there are still out there. They are adding to their team. And so when you think about employment within this space, either if you are a hiring employer or if you are a job seeker, don't be mistaken that nobody is hiring at this point in time. There are still definitely companies out there that are looking and aggressively looking to add talent as well. And when you think about the types of companies that are hiring right now, it is not necessarily the same ones that have previously hired. And so the way I think about it, and this might not be in every single example perfectly accurate, but the companies that are hiring right now are typically not the ones that had rapid scale ups in 2020, 2021, 2022. There were a lot of companies within this crypto space, within the Web3 space, that added a lot of talent, a lot of headcount to their companies. And some of those have gone through significant rounds of layoffs, things of that sort. The companies that are hiring now are what we're seeing are usually the early stage companies. So they could be pre-seed, seed, series A type companies. That is where, at least at Proof of Talent, we are seeing the majority of the hiring demand to utilize our services. So those are the companies that we're seeing the most hiring with. That's not to say that big companies are entirely done hiring, but frankly, from what I've seen, those companies are more often doing layoffs than they are growing their team at any significant type of headcount. That's just what I've seen though. So that could be maybe not entirely accurate. Another thing we are seeing right now, and this may be more applicable to the job seekers, but also something to keep in mind if you are an employer, is that we are seeing the job interview processes sometimes take quite a bit longer than they have previously. Probably a couple of different reasons for that, but one, I think companies are still that are hiring. Some of them are doing it a little bit more cautiously or nervously, even perhaps, than they have previously, because They don't know when the next round of funding is. They don't know the certainty of the landscape. They have a little bit more maybe pessimism in terms of things. And so when they are hiring, they're doing so with a little bit of trepidation when it comes to the interview cycle. And so we're seeing interview processes in some cases drawn out a really long time. And so two notes with that. Number one, if you are a job seeker, unfortunately be a little bit prepared for a longer job search if you are looking for an opportunity within the crypto space. Things have taken a little bit longer, something just to prepare yourself for. Number two, if you are an employer in this industry, something to keep in mind, if you really do want to hire, if you want to add talent to your team, if you have a quick and efficient interview process, that will put you at a significant leg up over many of the competitors that you are trying to compete against to hire the best talent from. If you have a good interview process, if it's time efficient, you are going to be at an advantage against those folks that are taking a really long time to hire people, because frankly, the best talent does not stay on the market for long. And so if you're able to quickly pick them up, that'll be obviously a positive thing for you. This has been the theme for, say, much of 2023 and even the latter half of 2022. But the demand for technical talent still remains strong within the crypto industry. Probably not shocking by any stretch, but especially going back to the earlier point of the hiring being concentrated in the early stage when you're talking pre-seed, seed, Series A type companies. Those companies, for product-led organizations, for companies that are still looking for product market fit, they are more aggressively building out their technical teams than they are their non-technical teams. Because frankly, if you don't have a product yet, why are you hiring a large staff of non-technical talent? So what we are seeing still is a lot of hiring within the technical space and competitive hiring within that space as well. Most of the time when we do have a job seeker that we are working with, when we have a candidate we're helping through an interview process that is an engineer, that person usually has multiple job offers that they end up considering. And so something to keep in mind if you are an employer right now is if you're looking to add technical talent, it is still a competitive market for those types of individuals. And it is by no means a cakewalk in terms of hiring those folks. It is definitely a little bit easier than it was 2 years ago, per se, but it is still rather difficult. And the companies that are hiring right now, in many cases, are looking for that technical talent. So it's something to consider. On the non-technical side of the house, we are seeing that it is a more difficult landscape for the job seekers within those fields. And that is because there are simply less opportunities available in those non-technical roles, be it marketing, sales, operations, legal, compliance, you name it. There is a lot less hiring in those spaces right now than there was a few years ago. And not only is that the case, but we've seen a lot of talent within the non-technical roles that is looking to stay within the industry and is open to new opportunities within the industry. So I would say right now that the supply of non-technical talent exceeds the demand or the number of job opportunities for the space. And so you're seeing some really, really talented individuals in non-technical roles taking a long time to find new opportunities or taking quite a bit of time to find their next opportunity from where they're at currently. So if you are that non-technical individual, I would say, again, think about the interview timeline that you might have. And just to be safe, extend that a little bit or extend your expectations a little bit, because it is taking some folks quite a bit longer to find new opportunities because frankly, there just isn't as many as there was probably when they received their opportunity the first time or the second time within the crypto space. So that about wraps up my Q3 thoughts for what we are seeing at Proof of Talent. Again, we are not the end all be all of data and insights within this. It is a very large industry at this point in time. And Proof of Talent is still a small company where 9 individuals operating within the space. Probably about 80% of that is United States based. So I certainly have a maybe somewhat narrow lens on how things are looking, but hopefully some of these tips are just some of the insights as to what I'm seeing from my seat and from my lens is helpful to you either as an employer or as a job seeker within this industry. Now, to that point, if you are a job seeker right now within crypto, you're looking for your next opportunity, feel free to go to one of the links in the follow up to this and submit your resume. Our team will reach out to you if you are looking for something new. And on the flip side, if you are looking for talent to add to your team, Proof Talent just had, again, our best quarter in company history. We just completed a number of successful searches. So we do have additional recruiting capacity at this time to take on some new searches. So if you do need some assistance, we're happy to help. I will put a link as well within the follow up to this so you could reach out to us. Happy to have a conversation about how Proof of Talent works, how we can support your company, and we can go from there. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, feel free to sound out in the comments or in Twitter, whatever it might be. Have a good one.